to look at for trying to keep track of the narrative of the Christianity unit we're working on to help you with your DBQ. Again, remember that we begin our understanding of Christianity with the life of Jesus, born as a Jewish man in occupied Judea during a time when the apocalyptic tradition was strong among the Jewish people. Remember, the apocalyptic tradition was the idea that a Messiah would come to relieve them of their suffering, which was significant in occupied Judea, occupied by the Romans, of course. Remember that Jesus taught that salvation came through belief in God and belief, the one God, and belief in Him as the Messiah, and compassion and human rights towards all people, living a good, ethical, and moral life, which resonates quite loudly with the Jewish people of occupied Judea, because that's something that is not present in their lives. And Jesus is seen as a threat to the established Roman political order. And like a lot of political threats, he is executed in the year approximately 30 CE, what historians believe Pontius Pilate, the Roman governor, ordered his execution. His followers continued to spread his message after his death, including Peter and Paul. We call the followers the apostles. We focus on Paul in particular because Paul was originally a persecutor of Christians. And remember, at this time it's more accurate to call them members of the Jesus movement, Jews within the Jesus movement within Judaism. And Paul, on the road to Damascus, traveling to Damascus once, saw a sign in the sky that caused him to convert from a persecutor of Christians or Jesus followers to a follower of Christ himself. And Paul preached that Jesus was the Messiah and preached Jesus' message of compassion in order to be saved. Paul also preached that it was not necessary to be Jewish, or at least to undertake all the Jewish rituals of being Jewish, Jewish dietary restrictions, circumcision, and a number of other things. Now, this is significant because this causes the beginning of a split between Judaism and Christianity. So the beginning of a split between Judaism and Christianity occurs really with Paul on the road to Damascus. Later, a little bit later in the 1st century CE, we know that the Emperor Nero blames the Christians for the fire in Rome and persecutes them. 66 CE, there's a revolt in Jerusalem, and the Roman government crushes them and sells many Jews into slavery. And so as a result, many Jewish people begin to question, was Jesus really the Messiah? If he was the Messiah, how did this happen? If he was the Messiah, the persecution from Nero and after the revolt would never have happened. So here's where we actually start to have even a more pronounced split between Judaism and Christianity. And we're beginning to see that Christianity is taking on its own form as its own religion for two reasons. One, it separates from Judaism, even more so. And secondly, it begins to organize itself. Rituals and beliefs matter in religion. It begins to, the apostles begin to be called bishops. They begin to set forth church doctrine, which is official teachings. Orthodoxy describes that which is officially sanctioned by the church. Heresy would be those things that are against the teachings of the church, in this case, the teachings of Jesus. So towards around the year 100 CE, it's fair to say that there is the beginnings of a full-blown religion and church that we could call Christianity, separate and distinct from Judaism, and with doctrine and bishops and social hierarchy within the church.